Juan Soto, the 23-year-old superstar that formerly was with the Washington Nationals, has officially been traded to the San Diego Padres. It was made official yesterday morning. There was a lot of hoopla, a lot of speculation surrounding his ultimate destination. Would it be with San Diego? Would it be with the Dodgers? Would it be with the Cardinals? And it was the Padres that pulled ahead, giving away a haul to acquire this pre-prime superstar. That's who Juan Soto is. This is a guy who's 23 years old, just turned down a 15-year, $440 million offer from the Washington Nationals. But he's in the middle of his fifth MLB season. For his career, he's batting .291, 119 home runs, is already a World Series champion. He led the Nationals in 2019 to the World Series title. He has already been named a two-time All-Star. He's a perennial MVP. He won the batting title. He just won the home run derby this past year. So this is a major, major coup and acquisition for the San Diego Padres. This is a guy who in his postseason, the only lone postseason appearance he's had in 2019, batting .271, 5 home runs in 17 games. His early career stats are already matching those of Hall of Famers. So this is the trajectory that he's on. This kid out of the Dominican Republic, of course, Fernando Tatis Jr., also from the Dominican Republic. So those two have a really good relationship. He's someone who, not to mention, is the only active MLB player right now that has accumulated more walks than strikeouts in his career, which is saying something about his patience in the batter's box. And that's what I love about, by the way, Juan Soto, the moxie, the confidence, the swagger in the batter's box. He just will infuse so much additional confidence to this Padres team. And what's amazing about San Diego is here we all thought when Fernando Tatis Jr. broke his left wrist earlier in the year that this team was gone in the water. They might not be able to recover, and here they are, 60-46. They're second in the NL West, just behind the Dodgers. They've got the fifth best record in the National League, the seventh best record in baseball overall, and now you're acquiring Juan Soto, this once-in-a-generational type and caliber of player on your roster with the possibility of retaining him for potentially the next 15 years if they can sign him to a long-term contract. But at the bare minimum, you've got him for 3 legitimate runs at a World Series title. And the Padres, of course, are one of 6 MLB teams that have never won the World Series. They've won the NL pennant twice, 1984, 1998, but they lost both times in the World Series. And they're trying to, again, return to that position. And here you bring in a guy who wears his emotions on his sleeve. He's got a certain bravado in the batter's box. He's a grinder. And this is an amazing, amazing pickup at the trade deadline. And this is the one thing that we know has become a trend in sports. And it's becoming almost irrefutable and indisputable, which is the teams with intrepid owners, the teams with ownership groups that are willing to spend money and be aggressive have typically been the teams and the franchises that have won world titles, especially in recent years. You look at the Golden State Warriors, just won the NBA title. They've got the highest payroll in the NBA, the highest luxury tax. We just saw the Rams. They made big splashes. They traded for Matthew Stafford last year. They won the Super Bowl. The Dodgers have maintained perennial status as one of the best teams in baseball. That's the reason they've dominated the NL West pretty much the last decade, is because of their ownership group, because of Andrew Freeman, because the team was willing to spend and be bold and go out and get players. Now, obviously, in the Dodgers' case, they somehow seemingly have unlimited tranches of money to dispose and just dole out that most teams don't have the luxury of having. But regardless, the Padres understood this is not just simply about competing for a World Series title. This is about competing with the Dodgers within your own division. This is about competing with the San Francisco Giants, who have won 2 World Series in the previous decade. This is about competing with the Yankees, who've been acquiring all kinds of talent and have been knocking on the door the last several years. This is about competing with the Astros. So when we think about what the Padres are trying to accomplish right now, and especially the teams that they're going up against, remember the Dodgers have been notorious for acquiring major pieces at the trade deadline. Just think back to Yu Darvish a couple of years ago, Manny Machado a couple of years ago, Trey Turner, Max Scherzer last year. Now, only one of those times it panned out, but several of those years they reached the World Series. They won the pennant. So the Padres are becoming bolder, and credit their ownership group for trying to deliver on their promise to the city to deliver a World Series title. The fans have bought in. The Padres have had one of the top 5 attendance rates in all of Major League Baseball. They have an incredible team. And now you add Juan Soto to a lineup that's featuring Fernando Tatis Jr., who's going to be returning from that broken wrist in 1 to 2 weeks. Manny Machado. This is a really, really stacked team. Not to mention, they acquired Josh Bell as well from the Nationals, who's having a career year. Luke Voit, who's having a good season. They traded a week prior for Josh Hader, an elite closer from the Brewers, one of the best pitchers in baseball. So this team is doing a lot. Brandon Drury, they've been making a lot of really good trades, especially recently. But you add the caliber player of Juan Soto, those guys just don't grow on baseball trees. They just don't. And when you got an opportunity to acquire one, you have to go out. You have to go out and do it. And this team is, to win, you have to go deep sea fishing. And they just caught a big king tuna. That's what they did. And I love this move for the Padres. They've always been knocking on the door. They seem to have been positioning themselves over the last several years to make a big splash and to make a big run. And Juan Soto may just be the piece to do it. An incredible, incredible acquisition for them. You do that 10 out of 10 times. And I'm curious to see how this plays out and how this pays off, because this is perhaps the biggest acquisition in the San Diego Padres history.